Why are you doing all this? Dude.
You owe me for that first pickup.
Yes! Wait, what?
Jesse. It's Jesse.
You ready? Yeah.
It's time to break down El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. It's the movie that answers the question, what happened to Jesse Pinkman after Breaking Bad? And Walt and Lydia, and most importantly, Skinny Pete. We're going to see how each flashback fits in, behind-the-scenes details, deleted scenes, and hopefully you'll gain some new appreciation for this movie with 182 details you might not know in
El Camino.
Just, tell us everything you remember. Just tell us your story.
Previously on Breaking Bad.
Everything that we've been through, the two of us. Maybe you and I could partner up.
You want to cook crystal meth? You and me.
That's right. All that you've done.
No! No! No!
It's a part of you.
Shit happens, huh?
Mr. White, I don't think I can do this anymore, so, I'm out.
Why?
When it comes down to it, are we in the meth business or the money business?
I'm sorry the kid here doesn't see it. You are a time bomb. Tick, tick, ticking. And I have no intention of being around for the
Bob, all the people that we've killed. Bob, if you believe that there's a hell, Bob, we're already pretty much going there. But I'm not gonna lie down until I get there.
Just because I don't want to cook meth anymore, I'm lying down. I'm done.
No, you're not. You're not done. Because if you leave, you get nothing. You understand me? Nothing! You need to stop focusing on the darkness behind you. The past is the past. You asked me if I was in the meth business or the money business. Neither. I'm in the empire business. Come on, don't you know me by now?
I know you're a lying, evil scumbag manipulating people, messing with their heads.
Todd, I have another job for your uncle, Jesse Pinkman.
Police! Drop your weapon! Ah, don't do it!
You still owe me, Pinkman.
Hey, Uncle Jack, shouldn't we maybe find out what he told him first? And then, we'd take care of the job after that.
Let's go, pal.
No! They gave me what you wanted.
Just so you know, this isn't personal.
Remember, you're still a kid. What's this I hear about blue meth still being out there?
Aren't you still cooking?
Jesse.
You said he moved to Alaska.
Say the words.
I want this. And do it yourself.
Before the movie starts, this video is sponsored by ZocDoc. I keep finding myself needing to book last-minute doctor's appointments, and ZocDoc has made it so easy for me to do this instead of continuing to procrastinate. ZocDoc is a free website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors. Choose the right one for your needs and click to instantly book an appointment. From primary care to dentistry, eye care, skincare, and nearly everything in between. ZocDoc makes it easy to book in-network appointments with more than 150,000 healthcare providers. You can filter for doctors by insurance, location, and specialty, so you can choose the best, most convenient care for you. They also have verified patient reviews and detailed doctor profiles so you can get a clear sense of the provider before you step into the office. Choose a time that works for you and you can instantly book the visit online. Appointments on ZocDoc usually happen fast, often within 24 to 72 hours and sometimes even same day depending on availability. Visit ZocDoc.com/BetterWatchTV to find and instantly book an appointment with a provider who will listen, understand, and support you. That's ZocDoc.com/BetterWatchTV. Thanks again to ZocDoc for supporting this video.
You know he's not going to be happy. No, I suspect he won't.
We start with a flashback which takes place right after this moment in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I was just leaving.
Only you can decide what's best for you, Jesse.
This makes Mike one of the few characters to appear in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and El Camino. They filmed the movie completely in secret.
This is some top secret shit.
I thought it was for Better Call Saul. And I was like, finally, got that call. And it wasn't.
To help pull this off, they had code names for all the main Breaking Bad characters.
Jonathan Banks was Pops.
Actually, just Pops.
I'm out.
After this, they both approach Walt about a buyout.
I'm out. Actually, Miss White, I'm out too.
Remember what got Jesse to this point.
No! No! No!
After the death of Drew Sharp, no amount of money could get him to keep working with Walt. It was really cold as they were filming in November through January, 44 days compared to the typical 8-day filming for an episode of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. Jonathan Banks said he and Aaron couldn't stop shaking, and his hands are in his pockets so much because they both have hand warmers in there. The same thing happened in the Confessions episode of Breaking Bad. This takes place at the Rio Grande, chosen because it's a couple hundred yards away from Mike's final resting place. That confrontation with Walt happens not long after this. This is sunrise posing as sunset. You can tell because on the Albuquerque side of the river they're facing west and the sun is behind them.
What are you gonna do with all that money? Same thing I do with all the other money.
He should have just addressed it like this.
How about you, teenage retiree? You'll be living the dream.
Teenage? I'm not making fun of Aaron Paul. At this point, Jesse's
25 years old.
Or he just turned 26, but still a kid to Mike. Casting director Sherry Thomas did reveal they were originally looking for a younger actor for Jesse, but once Aaron did the chemistry read with Bryan, they knew they had their guy.
It's just basic chemistry.
I'm sure I should stick around town. That's a start. Nothing really keeping me here.
Andrea's still alive, but Walt had convinced him to break up with her.
Secrets create barriers between people. I know you'll make the right call.
Where'd you go? You or me? Alaska.
So Mike planted the seed, although he was always a fan of
Ice Road Truckers.
After this, Jesse mentions it here.
Do I get to pick where I go?
Well, it's your life. I imagine you get a say.
Alaska.
Alaska. I never figured you for a big moose lover, but whatever floats your boat.
Alaska.
If I were your age, starting fresh, Alaska.
Just think of all the drives he could shovel.
You can shovel my drive if you're looking for more.
It's the last frontier.
Start over. Put things right.
No. Sorry, kid. That's the one thing you could never do.
In broad strokes, I see the movie in 4 phases, and we're in the friendship phase. Throughout this scene, they're at 2 different spots about 100 yards away from each other because Vince wanted specific backgrounds in the shots. Mike's car is the same one from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but Jesse's Tercel is a new one because it was one of the cars Sony auctioned off after Breaking Bad ended. They replicated the handheld camera look of Breaking Bad in the flashback scenes, although the camera wasn't actually handheld. The Alexa 65 camera they used was so heavy they faked it with a couple techniques, including placing it on a truck airbag that they could inflate and deflate, and doing separate shaky shots of the background with motion tracking marks so they could apply that motion to the still shots with the real action. This was not a camera they previously used, and Vince was excited to shoot in a cinematic aspect ratio for the first time. Vince originally wanted to shoot on film like Breaking Bad, especially because of the generous budget for the movie. But similar to Better Call Saul, they tested 4 different cameras, then 2 with both spherical and anamorphic lenses. They tested dark versus light shots and inside versus outside. Again, he could not tell the difference between digital and film, and the winner was the digital Alexa 65 with spherical lenses. Although this is a drone shot flown by director of photography Marshall Adams. We've now entered the primary timeline, a moment right at the end of Breaking Bad with Jesse escaping in Todd's El Camino. This is new footage, with the main differences being the fullness of Jesse's beard and differences in his scars despite their attempts to match them. Despite the differences, these 2 screaming while driving shots are both the exact same number of frames, lasting 9.92 seconds in both Felina and El Camino. This part was filmed on a stage. They had also auctioned off Todd's El Camino from Breaking Bad, so they had basically 3 new ones here. The main car, a double car, and this rig on a stage. Here's some footage they cut. The first cut of the movie was about 2 hours and 50 minutes long, but Vince was adamant about getting it down to 2 hours instead. Some cuts were relatively easy, like an extra 7 minutes of the Jesse searching montage, but some were painful. I'll continue to share deleted footage throughout this video.
What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing out here? Yeah. Get the hell out of my driveway!
It was all junk mail anyway. 212 is the Breaking Bad episode in which Jane dies. Coincidence? Knowing Vince, maybe not. Vince said he had 2 motivations for making this movie.
Better not come back!
Wondering if and how Jesse would have gotten away, and wanting to work with Aaron Paul again. Around Breaking Bad's 10th anniversary, he thought about doing this as a 10 to 15 minute minisode, codenamed 63, as in the 63rd episode of Breaking Bad. Then the idea morphed into an hour-long episode, but it still wasn't cost-effective to go to all the trouble for 1 hour of content. Also, Tom Schnauz gave Vince the advice to not think of it as episode 63, as the 62 episodes of Breaking Bad are as perfect and complete as they could make them. That was Walter White's story, and what Vince should make instead is Jesse Pinkman's story that isn't missing from Breaking Bad. It's something that doesn't necessarily belong in Breaking Bad.
Dude, you suck.
That is a very nice Samsung TV, too modern for 2010. Besides the slim bezel, a deleted scene shows too modern UI as well. In that deleted scene, the Xbox controller is connected, but in the movie it's not, nor is it powered on.
You're apexing too early.
I'm apexing at the apex, bitch. You couldn't drive a 2-button elevator.
You couldn't drive Miss Daisy.
Whatever that means. You couldn't drive a short bus full of slow kids to the zoo.
Because I'd be too distracted by you. You couldn't drive Thelma and Louise off of that cliff.
Jesse?
Who is it?
I gotta get that car off the street.
He's pretending this ultralight fence prop is heavy. The first several iterations were too heavy and he couldn't budge them. This part was cut because it took way too long to get to the garden gnome. It's funny that the gnome got cut from the movie because the codename for the movie was Greenbrier, named after this Greenbrier gnome. Was Christy Esposito secretly advertising El Camino? Because the making of the movie was top secret, they also liked the codename's connection to the Greenbrier Resort, which hid a secret government bunker in the Cold War era. It's also fitting that the El Camino runs it over since it displaced Greenbrier as the true title of the movie. The backstory is that this is Skinny Pete's mom's house, although we don't know if she moved out or passed away. And this house is about 3 blocks away from where Charles Baker lived when he was 8 years old. There are elements that reflect Skinny's mom, like the old TV, dining room, the wagon wheel bed, and probably the gnome. And then you can clearly see some of the ways Pete spent his money. The chairs are meant to be Star Trek inspired, and there are more Star Trek items lying around. They started with real chairs, augmented them, then had an auto body painter paint them. Their codenames in the script were Kirk and Picard. We do already know about Badger and Skinny Pete's fondness for Star Trek.
He sprays blood out of his mouth. Oh. God, he beamed his guts into space. No way.
But now's a good time to highlight just how many Breaking Bad universe actors have appeared in Star Trek.
Still kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Yep.
They let Aaron decide what he would eat here since he'd really need to eat a lot of it. This is the first thing they shot on the first day of production, although they did film the upcoming press conference and time-lapses about a week earlier during pre-production.
Go check out what's on TV.
Man, what's wrong with you? I ain't watching no TV right now.
It's the news.
This oddly might be my favorite part of the movie. It's such a simple concept to just show Albuquerque like it is in real life, but it's so poignant as a result to see Saul's office and Pollo's gone, as if they were replaced by their real-life occupants. A deleted scene also shows Saul's bus bench from the first time we ever saw his name, now available for a new ad. Their legacies are erased and the world has very quickly moved on.
Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains.
The deleted scene also shows Jane's apartment. The bank now owns the building, and there's a Venture Realty sign, which is Stephanie Doswell's brokerage.
I know you stole that spoon.
Is it true that a military-grade firearm was altered and used to carry out this attack?
That voice is Melissa Ng, Vince's assistant, who thought she was doing a temporary voice, but it ended up staying in the movie.
To the best of my knowledge, it was an M60 machine gun.
There are 2 familiar faces. We've gotten to know Suzanne Erickson, one of the 2 Better Call Saul exclusive characters to appear in El Camino, which I can safely point out spoiler-free. And that's Austin Raimi, who we previously saw in Breaking Bad.
Can you tell us more about this person of interest?
The wolves counter you've seen before is specific to Better Call Saul, but there are a lot throughout this house.
They're a person of interest, and they may have information relevant to this case or other cases the DEA is investigating.
This is not a real TV station. They previously showed this TV footage in an El Camino promo, with Huel watching it from the safe house before finally leaving. They had 7 different wigs for Aaron, ranging from 1/4 of an inch long to the longest one here at 5 inches. I like to imagine he's freaking out because there's no battery in the smoke detector.
Jimmy!
My stuff's gonna fit you like a T, yo. Not like you had to borrow it from Sasquatch over here.
Can't help it that I'm sized for love.
You go love all the giraffes you want, bitch. Me and Jesse are sticking with the ladies. How's this working for you?
Because Jesse is so out of it, one early version of the story has him carrying on an imaginary conversation with the ghost of Uncle Jack, who's like a little devil on his shoulder telling him to shoot each person who sees him so he doesn't get caught. Vince didn't have a writer's room for this movie, it was just him, just like when he wrote the Breaking Bad pilot. But the typical team of collaborators did help steer him toward better ideas along the way, and I'll be pointing out examples of that.
Shower make you feel a whole lot better? Truth be told, you look like you're hurting for one.
Church? No,
Offense.
Feel free to open up a new bar at Irish Spring, because the old one might have like hairs on it and shit.
The bedroom and bathroom are set on a soundstage, but the rest of the house is the real interior of this house.
Yo, I got Axe body spray, I got Obsession for Men, I got Tommy Hilfiger.
Obsession's the bomb, yo. I got it for him for Christmas.
Maybe don't, like, shave and whatnot, you know? Be less recognizable.
Jesse.
What?
Do they really keep you in a cage?
They sprayed Aaron with a real fire hose, but made the water warm.
Oh, dude, why'd you...
Looking sharp, yo.
Yeah, looking sharp.
Vince said the idea of him shaving was a last-minute change, and they did it because the fakeness of the wig would be more of a problem if he wore it throughout. He was going to keep his hair long precisely because it was a smart move to look different from his mugshot. That surprises me because I thought it's a brilliant way to distinguish present-day Jesse from flashback Jesse without a visual aid like a bleach bypass effect. Aaron views it as an emotional decision, like a cleansing, a lot like when he shaved his head in Breaking Bad.
I gotta get out of here.
By this point, it was hard for them to find phone books, but they managed to get 4 from Albuquerque from this time period. And tearing a page out is a big deal because of having to film multiple takes. It looks like he's tearing part of an insert that isn't really bound into the book. The props team said they were prepared for up to 25 takes, so they probably had 25 of these inserts printed.
You got a burner you can give me? Fully charged and clean as a whistle.
First, I gotta get rid of that car.
That doesn't match who he's calling based on this promo for El Camino.
Call Rocker Salvage. Abracadabra!
Also, did Jimmy McGill make this commercial?
Mind at ease!
That's you.
Remember, we learned about Bruce here.
Jesse Bruce Pinkman.
Unlike the earlier channel, KOB4 is a real Albuquerque station.
The two are responsible for the largest methamphetamine manufacturing operation in U.S. history.
The art department brought some of the papers on his desk in this Red Lobster bag, and when Vince saw it, he said, "Oh, you've got to put that on camera too." This is a 2-wall set in front of a green screen, and that window surface is CGI.
Go for Joe. Yeah, I know who this is. At this point, who doesn't?
Thank you so much for doing this. About the money, if we can maybe...
It's on the house.
Watch it, bitch.
You gentlemen threw me plenty of business back in the day. Magnets!
Magnets! Oh!
What are you doing?
Write myself a little insurance policy.
This wasn't originally going to be a single 35-second long shot, but they were losing the light, so they didn't have time to get the additional coverage shots. The whole Skinny Pete part of the movie was shot over 3 to 4 days, but daylight hours were fairly limited in November.
All right, mind at ease. Mind at ease! Whoa.
Notice the odd-shaped accent rock?
They're minerals.
There's actually a garage there in real life, but the art department covered it up because Vince wanted them to hide the car in the backyard, which wouldn't make sense if there was a garage.
Fleeing, and I suggest you do the same. Low jack.
This is how Hank tracked Jesse's car to Tuco's place.
I want to know if the car's got a low jack.
Johnny Law is on his way, as in here, as in now.
Who's got the keys to that car?
Yo, what are you doing? We gotta get this thing out of here. Bat, give me the keys to your Fiero. And you take my car.
I don't even like your car. It drives like a dick.
Think you'll be heading to Mexico?
No, not Mexico.
Badger drives my T-Bird 200-300 miles away and ditches it. Leave it near the border. Hide it, kinda, but yo, don't hide it so good the cops can't find it. Wipe it down for prints, then hitchhike back. You take Badger's Fiero.
What about this car?
It stays right here. Ain't like the cops don't already know where it is. I always wanted me an El Camino, and that's church, yo.
So did Jesse.
You selling?
Should take it for 9 G's.
How about that one?
Serious?
It's what's happening.
Here's what's gonna happen.
Skinny Pete the mastermind. And he's making a heroic sacrifice because he'll be charged with harboring a fugitive.
You got any cash?
This must be the money Walt just gave them, but we saw him give them $10,000 each. And we later learned this is $8,200 total, so they still got to keep or spend most of it.
Yo, kick in, bitch.
I'm doing it. Jesus.
This makes me anxious because it feels like they're not moving with enough urgency. Joe got it.
I don't know what to say.
Don't say nothing. Just go.
Yeah, Vince believes this shot took 22 takes and they used take number 4. Sometimes the car just wouldn't start or it would stall, but also the heavy camera mounted to the side of the car on a motion head that creeps in was tricky to execute. They removed the reflection of the camera and harness digitally.
Take care of her, Jesse. She's a special lady.
That right there is a clown car.
She deserves the best.
Looks like a school bus for 6-year-old pimps. Back home to you, Samira.
The El Camino, let me see the keys.
We'll see what this key is for in a moment.
Hold up.
Dig.
This is the first time we've seen his hair.
This might Keep you from getting spotted.
They had to recreate a lot of the costumes from scratch, including Skinny Pete's iconic hat, which does have some differences if you look closely at the eagle.
Yo, Skinny, why are you doing all this? Dude, you're my hero and shit.
They did this shot in only one take because they were losing the light, as you can tell by the golden glow behind it.
I always wanted me an El Camino.
This was not only cut for time, but also because it wasn't from Jesse's point of view.
I don't know what to tell you. I hadn't heard boo from the dude for nearly a year. I was just happy to see him. I didn't know, like, he was wanted by the authorities. Him and me was just kicking back when he goes, yo, let's trade my El Camino for your T-Bird. Guess I should have figured it was shady and all, but, I mean, that Elko's tits. Always wanted me an El Camino. Must mean I don't get to keep it.
They used the real Rio Rancho SWAT team with real weapons, although unloaded.
Get on the ground! Give him your other hand! Check that hole! Don't move!
One of the movie teasers shows Pete being interrogated, although this was filmed to be a commercial and never intended to be in the movie. There's a memorial for Hank and Gomi.
I have no idea where he is. Don't know where he's headed either. North, south, west, east, Mexico, the moon. I don't have a clue. But yo, even if I did, who wouldn't tell you? Because I've been watching the news, same as everybody else. I seen that little cage of his they kept him in. So sorry. I don't know what to tell you. No way I'm helping you people put Jesse Pinkman back inside a cage.
Oh, maybe the slow response time was due to orchestrating this like a parade route. They used the real Albuquerque police for this. This is a bit like the Breaking Bad pilot. Now we enter phase 2 of the movie, which I define as the trauma phase, even though we've certainly already seen some of Jesse's trauma already. It's another flashback, and this pit is recognizable from Granite State. Vince doesn't see the flashbacks as Jesse currently thinking about these things, but rather just a storytelling device. With the exception of occasional quick visions and 2 of the longer flashbacks I'll point out later.
Jesse, you awake?
Yeah.
This was Vince's first time taking advantage of HDR and its analog in the theatrical release Dolby Vision. One way was cranking up the brightness here to hurt your eyes, then gradually lowering it to simulate your eyes adjusting like Jesse's. But you have to watch the HDR or theatrical version to experience that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
They also took advantage of Dolby Atmos sound in theaters, and one prominent example is having Todd's voice, the tarp noise, and background outside noise come entirely from the top speakers while Jesse's down in the pit.
Guy on KOB keeps calling for rain.
That's pretty surprising since it almost never rains in the Breaking Bad universe.
Yeah, well, those guys aren't always that accurate.
Guess what?
People who say, guess what, and then actually expect you to guess. I hate those people.
We're all alone. Uncle Jack took everybody down to Elephant Butte on account of he got this new chaparral.
Chaparral is a brand of boat, and Elephant Butte is about 2 hours away. And it is summertime in the story, so it's a good time to water ski.
I'm not really big into water skiing. Plus, somebody's got to take care of you.
Jack's compound and the hole in the ground don't exist anymore. So this is an indoor set, and even the lighting up here is indoor lighting. This little bit of sky is added digitally.
Just you and me the whole weekend. I really like your help with something. We gotta talk ground rules. If you try to, escape, I'm gonna have to visit the little boy.
This confirms it's after Jesse's escape and Todd killing Andrea, although we could have already assumed that by the length of Jesse's hair.
So, good behavior, right?
This is a different location from inside the pit, but actually outdoors. It's the same place they sprayed Aaron with the fire hose, and they dug a hole only about 4 feet deep. That Quonset hut was really there, although they built this wall and it doesn't go much higher than the top of the frame. It's not an exact match, but they did put similar C and D letters. A lot has been made of Todd's weight difference compared to Breaking Bad. Jesse Plemons, the actor, said he had purposely gained weight to be in Black Mass 4 years earlier. But of course, it was difficult to lose that weight.
Gotta make sure you don't draw too much attention.
He's definitely Todd's pet.
I'm gonna do a better job of keeping you clean from now on.
Jesse's shirt is another costume they needed to recreate, and they created 4 to 5 versions of it with different stages of wear and tear. With duplicates, they had about 14 total since they couldn't wash them. This one is the dirtiest version. Again, because the compound doesn't exist, this background was digitally added. And it looks like the gate is much larger than it was in Breaking Bad.
Please, no! No! Please stop!
This is a nod to Vince's significant other, Holly Rice. Not just the Holly, but the cross street, which is the Spanish word for rice. It's interesting that the speed limit here is 18, but Albuquerque does have streets that are also bike paths with this unusual limit.
Good job.
Good boy, Jesse.
Jesse isn't just some rabid dog.
In deleted footage, we see he wasn't hiding the whole time.
Whew, good thing we were wearing our seatbelts.
This is Aaron's daughter, Story Paul, held by his brother, Steven.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Maybe it's safer if you get down out of sight.
They're driving past
San Cristobal
in Chuck and Jesse's neighborhood.
Hey, check this out. There used to be water in it, but they took it out a couple years ago because of some insurance thing.
That's a true story. The real-life pool was filled with river rocks because otherwise the apartment building would have had to employ a full-time lifeguard.
What are you better at, going forwards or backwards?
Even though it's daytime, they shined artificial lights on the sidewalls to give the scene more texture.
Watch your fingers.
They cut out dialogue here, and also them getting the truck cap out of the doorway because it was really difficult.
So is that what you need help with?
Part of it.
Texas authorities investigating the poisoning of a Houston woman are looking into her possible connection to Walter White's criminal organization. The unnamed woman,
Lydia Redartquil,
who is hospitalized in critical condition, is not expected to survive.
This was meant to convey that Lydia's about to die, even though it does leave the door open for her to survive.
White was found dead late Tuesday at the scene of a gang massacre which claimed the lives of 9 people.
And there's our confirmation about Walt. While it's true the ending of Breaking Bad unintentionally left the door open to him surviving, this is meant to shut the door. And Jesse finds out about Walt the same way Walt finds out about Gus.
As many as 3 people may have been killed.
Oh no.
There was another teaser for the movie with Jesse listening to this in the El Camino.
A horrific scene with multiple victims. It started when neighbors reported hearing hundreds of gunshots fired.
This obviously doesn't make sense in the context of the movie, but it was filmed just to be a commercial.
The NASDAQ is down 34 points.
Walt dies and
The NASDAQ goes belly up.
they brought in this full-size streetlight that's not there in real life. This is the familiar Albuquerque rail yards that is the go-to industrial location. This is just one of the grips holding a light, not really an oncoming car. It didn't even end up in the movie, but Aaron Paul's stuntman was having problems doing this U-turn, so Aaron volunteered and nailed it every take. But Aaron is a great driver and learned from a bunch of professionals when he did some stunts in Need for Speed. This was supposed to be a Steadicam shot, but the camera's so heavy they pushed it on a cart instead. Producer Melissa Bernstein was the judge who signed this search warrant. It was signed on the 14th of September, a week after Felina, and I don't think that much time would have passed yet.
Hey there, look what the cat dragged in.
It was intentionally subtle, but we're back to the flashback.
Good one.
Yep, don't take any wooden nickels.
That guy, he's not supposed to be home at this hour.
This is a set, as the real-life apartments are about a quarter of the size.
I really lucked out that he didn't see you. How you like my place?
It's nice. Kinda pastel.
I was thinking of Easter eggs.
I'm always thinking of Easter eggs. Did you know every Better Call Saul Hidden Details video has Skinny Pete except one? Or that there are often other hidden details for those watching closely? Anyway, production designer Judy Rhee, who also did Better Call Saul Season 4, was inspired by Pa's Easter egg kits, elementary school classrooms, and Disneyland, such as this Bavarian table that reminded her of It's a Small World. And then, similar to Skinny Pete's place, she wanted you to notice how he'd spend some of his newfound wealth in a way that reflects his male adolescence. A good example is the scorpion chair in his bedroom. That was Vince's idea, custom made for the movie, and apparently available to buy, at least for now. Vince originally imagined Todd's apartment to have lots of sexualized items around, like posters of naked ladies, but Judy wanted something more childlike with overtones of violence. For example, salt and pepper shakers that are hand grenades versus Vince's idea of naked lady salt and pepper shakers. When designing this set, they actually sent wallpaper samples to Canada, where Jesse Plemons was filming a movie so they could get photos that showed how his flesh tones look against them.
Lately, I'm thinking I might like to try some new paint.
Is that why I'm here? You want me to help you paint?
Maybe, but first,
Oh, shit.
please don't. you know, made me feel worse than I already do.
Who is this?
Sonia, the cleaning lady, and honestly, I don't feel much like talking about her, so you wanna give me a hand?
Jesse does have relevant experience.
My name is Skylar White-Yo.
Like Werner, Sonia went with a socks and Crocs look before being murdered. Is Vince trying to tell us something here?
Wait, unroll it.
The way both of her arms fall looks a bit suspect. I'm starting to think she's not really dead.
Gonna need this.
This explains why his pants were loose. The way he killed her is ironic considering how he was killed. Maybe this gave Jesse the idea?
And this is for Sonia.
Now we just gotta wait for Nosy Lou to go bowling. You want soup? I got chicken noodle, chicken and stars, cream and chicken. Bean with bacon.
That was Vince's favorite soup growing up.
What did she do to you? She didn't do anything to me.
Why?
Right there. That book, if you want to know so bad. Uncle Jack taught me always keep my money close.
Throughout this movie, they put a real bill on top of each stack of prop money.
With close-ups, you gotta have real money. With this level of detail, you'd see it was fake.
Will they take this to heart in Better Call Saul going forward? Is this the end of the prop money counter? We'll find out together.
So your cleaning lady was stealing your money?
What? No. She was as honest as the day is long.
How dare you, Jesse? Don't speak ill of the dead.
Like George Washington honest. But I can't have anybody finding it. She brought it straight in here to show me. I wonder what the heck she was looking up.
I don't know, but it's the unlucky 13th book in the set.
She barely spoke any English. Am from Mexico, maybe?
Where are you gonna take her?
Someplace pretty. She deserves that. Do me a favor and put that away.
There's a photo of Todd as a child.
Sure you don't want any soup?
How you like my bedroom? Pretty bitchin', huh?
This is meant to be Drew Sharp's tarantula, which is morbid. We saw that he kept it in Breaking Bad. Aaron Paul made the wolf snow globe, but most of them were made by none other than assistant prop master Trina Siopi. Trina and Matt's counters are the only ones that span both shows and this movie. Besides being a snow globe maker, she's the nurse, police archivist, Andrea stuntwoman, necklace dropper, cigarette swapper, real estate mogul, crossword filler, pistachio supplier, the other best laser pointer holder west of the Mississippi, and Pollo's assistant manager. Jesse's tattoos have always shifted around during the course of Breaking Bad, and here's another clear example of such inconsistency. Now we see what Jesse's doing here. He knows Todd's money has got to be here somewhere.
Guess I better come up with a new hiding place for my money.
They got these things called banks.
I think I know the perfect spot. It might take a little engineering, but it would be right here. Nobody would ever find it. Nothing beats cash on hand, that's what Uncle Jack says.
With the low light capabilities of the Alexa 65 camera, he's only lit by the lighter. It's a Bic, which stopped supporting adjustable flames in the 80s, so maybe he got his hands on an old one, or he hacked it. In reality, it's a prop with a tube running to it, so he'd have more time with it lit. Jesse's compassion for animals continues, and he can relate being a caged animal himself. Although shouldn't the police have taken the tarantula somewhere? Of course he would check here.
No, 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 no!
Right here is one of the craziest edits I've ever seen. To make this shot longer, this 1.5 seconds is played backwards. Then the same footage is played forward. The result is 3 seconds of footage that is frame by frame identical whether you're playing it backwards or forwards. Unsurprisingly, this is shot from inside the real apartment, but then we go back to the soundstage for the rest. That was a CC Mobile commercial. They could have done so many more here.
Diagnosed with mesothelioma or
Duke City recliners and put your feet.
When was the last time you saw him?
A year, maybe more.
As far as we know, it was this moment.
The house has been sold!
Which was almost a year and a half ago. This is another fake TV station, and this is the first time we learned Diane's name. Their codenames were Mr. and Mrs. Cleaver, a reference to Leave It to Beaver. They filmed this interview earlier so they could really play it on the TVs rather than burning it in later.
Is there anything you wish you could say to your son right now?
Why are you like this?
For your sake, for everybody's sake. Son, turn yourself in.
Todd's not shaking those pet owner allegations. Oh no. This is the dummy that's now wrapped in the carpet. And Aaron did have help sliding the dummy out. Vince wanted her croc to fly out during this, so they rigged an air cannon inside the dummy to shoot it out on cue.
You're looking kinda lonely, girl.
Would you like someone new to talk to?
He's being towed, and you can just barely see the reflection of the towing vehicle. I feel like it's a missed opportunity to cut to Jesse and Sonia when he sings,
Can I sit down here beside you?
This gesture was his idea, and he surprised Vince with it, who loved it. Although in doing so, he exposed the earwig feeding the song to him.
Sharing the night together. Whoa.
This part was filmed much later on a soundstage.
Sharing the night together.
This is in Arizona on the eastern edge of the Painted Desert. Vince chose it because he wanted a cinematic location.
We are shooting in a spot that the film representative of the Navajo Nation tells us has never been shot in before.
During Breaking Bad, Vince always felt like there was more story to tell with Todd the sociopath, and with this movie, he finally got his chance. He believes Todd is one of the most interesting characters they ever came up with, and that you wouldn't necessarily know it from watching Breaking Bad. Todd's codename was Dolph,
short for Adolf.
They could have gone with Ricky for
Ricky Hitler.
One thing about Walt and Jesse, they are both really good at digging holes quickly. It took 3 professionals an hour and a half to dig it.
You wanna say a few words? Nice lady. Excellent housekeeper. Hey, grab another pack, would ya? There should be one in the glove box.
Morley cigarettes are a nod to the X-Files, although this Marlboro lookalike brand has appeared in many shows and movies.
You find them?
This is the same gun that Jesse has in the present day, so Todd must have continued to keep it in his glove compartment. He had left Jack's compound without a gun.
I'll take that, Jesse. I'll take that. On the way home, I was gonna get us some pizza.
Pizza solves all relationship problems.
Pizza.
Maybe a 6-pack of beer?
Todd believes his pet is food motivated.
Peanut butter cup and Americone Dream. You earned it. What kind of pizza do you like? Jesse, what kind of pizza?
Pepperoni.
That seems to be the White family's choice as well. They reminded us that Jesse escaping would put Brock's life at risk.
I'm gonna have to visit the little boy.
Maybe he could somehow save Brock before the rest of the crew returns, but the bottom line is that he's been beaten down. All the torture and manipulation has gotten to him and broken his spirit.
Look at that view. Should be a heck of a sunset. You know, Uncle Jack says, life is what you make it.
It's ironic that the credits song says, because the movie repeatedly does just that with flashbacks of characters who died. Here's phase 3 of the movie where the theme is survival, and I noticed that the desert scene we just finished splits the apartment part of the movie into 2 almost equal pieces. By now he would have found Walt's money, or Danny's. There's that photo we saw earlier. Besides the Painted Desert, this is the first shot that made me feel like I'm not just watching another episode of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, even though it does have a lot of similarities to this shot. I was thinking it was because this set looks expensive, but maybe I was subliminally influenced by Judy Ree's decision to design the apartment to perfectly fill the cinematic aspect ratio. The entire shot was her idea. Vince was going to do multiple Jessies, but from a normal angle. Judy's pitch was to make it look like a mouse in a maze. This is the same set that we see the rest of the time, but with the ceiling temporarily ripped out. Aaron really searched around and tore things up for about an hour and a half while Vince would call out instructions.
Hey, Jesse, Aaron rather, keep doing what you're doing. Tap your hand on that wall and shine your light.
For the music here, they combined 2 unrelated songs with time stretching and pitch manipulation to represent the chaos inside Jesse's head. To get the evaporating ghost prints on the fridge, they warmed up Aaron's hand, and the rest happened automatically since the fridge door was kind of cold on set.
Bingo!
There's a very hidden detail that already reveals they aren't really policemen. Casey is using a lockpick to open the door rather than a key.
Jesus.
The second Jesus was an ad-lib. They only really had the budget for one Jesus here.
Oh, hey, you folks are back, huh?
Sir, what can we do for you?
I talked to your guys yesterday. Well, I'm around if you ever need any additional information. See, I knew the decedent pretty well. Never really trusted him. Kind of saw this thing coming. I mean, well, not exactly, but kind of.
Thank you.
You guys have business cards?
No, I'm sorry, we're fresh out. Take it easy.
I've done a little investigating myself.
I'll start here. You start in the back.
Let's meet in the middle.
Both of these actors are named Scott, and both are left-handed.
I mean, Jesus.
There's a silhouette of young Todd, and there's Todd's Vominos Pest uniform, what he wore when we first met him.
You shouldn't do that.
Dude's got a tarantula.
That is Lydia with her Louboutin shoes, and she's even wearing cornflower blue like she later will in Felina.
Nice color on her. Cornflower.
Yeah, no crazy in this house. Perfectly normal.
Todd's in there with her, and if you look closely, you can see little stevia packets floating around with the hearts. You can see Todd working on this in Snow Globe, a Breaking Bad short.
Leave a message.
Lydia? Hey.
Why are you calling?
Hey. I was just calling to catch up.
You were calling to catch up.
Yeah. Hello? Right. My phone's maybe bugged. Can't be too careful.
Trina Siopi is hiding in the closet here next to the camera. That's right, she's the closet hider snow globe maker. You get the point.
I'm no cop killer. You be cool, and I will be cool. Call your partner in here. Very casual.
Hey, Lieutenant.
That was smart because he knows right away someone else must be there.
You find something?
Lieutenant?
What's waiting for me back there, Casey?
Whoa, 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 whoa! Put your gun down! He says he's not looking to kill any cops.
After filming this part for hours, everyone's arms were getting tired, so Aaron rested his arm on Scott's shoulder as much as he could.
What are you doing here, Pinkman?
There's something I need.
What?
Seriously, throw your gun in here and show me your hands!
Seriously, no. You point yours at me, I point mine at you. That's how this works. You know how many officers we got downstairs?
6 last I counted.
6 my ass. I counted 8 of them. They hear shooting. What do you think they're gonna do?
There's only one choice here, buddy.
Give up, Pinkman. On the ground.
The whole set is built on a 4-foot riser so they could have the camera at floor level here with camera people below. And Aaron had to suspend his upper body over a hole here.
Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? What now?
Stay on him.
What are you doing? How about some handcuffs, you?
Forget your handcuffs.
Jesse's noises and lines here were dubbed in later with ADR.
You two aren't cops.
Get his legs! Find me something to gag him with! No! I know where the money is! That's what you're here for, right?
I can't fucking cheat you won't find it on your own.
It wouldn't be a Breaking Bad movie without a 5 knot.
Detective, I got something that might be helpful.
Sorry about that, sir. We're dusting for fingerprints.
I thought your CSI boys do that. Didn't they get them all yesterday?
Sometimes you want something done right.
My line was restaurant and hospitality supplies, so I completely get it. I just came across an old note Todd Alquist wrote me. If you need a handwriting sample for analysis,
Yeah.
you're welcome to come examine it. Oh, it's no trouble. I got time.
Show me the money. I let you go. Seems pretty fair to me.
Holy shit! There's gotta be $1 million here.
Not bad, it's stacks of $5,000 arranged 4x12, and it is 3 stacks deep, making $720,000 total. I wonder how they split Walt's
$80 million. What's with all the greed here?
It's too bad Jesse doesn't know where any of the others live.
What are you doing?
Taking my half.
There is no your half of the money. There is only my all of it.
I'll shoot you, you son of a bitch.
Then do it already. Do it. If I don't get this money, I am dead. Anyway, you pull that trigger, you are gonna have to kill that loudmouth down the hall, and every other witness will be as fucked as I am.
There's some karma here.
So, what's it gonna be?
3-way split. And you got your third. Don't push it.
This sculpture was designed by producer Charles Neuwirth.
Yep, I got the money. Gotta keep them talking for the next 5 minutes.
Since I got the Brita, I find the tea tastes noticeably better.
Not a problem.
He's got a giant fork and spoon like the Whites. They filmed the 2 actors separately here and composited the shots together so they'd both be in focus.
You got balls. Give me that. I was wondering when you were gonna remember me.
In case you were wondering, no, he wasn't really in Breaking Bad. Although the actor was such a big fan of the show that he and his wife spent the first 3 days of their honeymoon watching season 3. This fake page does match what we saw earlier. You can see they're all fake phone numbers starting with 0 or 1 without resorting to the obvious 555 numbers. There's another Duke City named Business, and we can deduce what he's looking for given all these vacuum shops. They're using a fake number for best quality vacuum that's different than the fake number we first saw on the card in Breaking Bad, and different from the real number we had seen on the building. This used to be a callable number, but alas is no longer in service. Here's the message you'd get.
You've reached Best Quality Vacuum Repair. Our store hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 6. If you need after-hour repairs, please leave your name and number, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can with a quote. Thank you, and have a nice day.
He recognizes the car. This reminds me so much of the Pollo sign reveal, which was also directed by Vince.
It's colorful, I'll say that much.
It's an actual store.
It was a real vacuum store when they filmed Breaking Bad, but at this point it became a furniture store. So they had a lot of work to do to completely change the inside and even repaint a bunch of it to match Breaking Bad. This is the legendary Marla Gibbs. Vince normally resists casting big-name actors, but she was too good to pass up. She improvised about half of her lines in this scene, including,
I ain't paying for no paint job.
If you are in love with your Kirby, I'll bet I could get it working for you again. Be with you in a minute.
I may take you up on that.
Excellent.
If I can get my niece to help me.
I want you to promise you won't try to bring it in by yourself. Get that help.
Thanks for your help. I'll be back with my Kirby.
Drive carefully. If there's any questions I can answer, just let me know. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. I'm open for business.
I'm looking for a Hoover Max. Pressure Max, max pressure Hoover, or maybe it's a Pro Max. Got like a filter.
Jesse had overheard the line here.
I need a new dust filter for my Hoover Max Extract Pressure Pro Model 60.
Hoover products are right over there on the wall behind you.
Ed is doing his best Gus impression.
If you have a complaint, I suggest you submit it through our email system.
Look, I don't remember the exact password. Here you go. 125,000. Come on, man, you know why I'm here. Look, I am 96% sure that you are the guy.
96%? Is it really that high?
96%. I'm proud of that figure.
Look, no wire.
Wire.
And no gun. You got rules. I get that. And I apologize. I didn't go with you that day, and I'm sorry.
Jesse bailed on the pickup because he left to confront Saul.
Please.
You owe me for that first pickup.
Yes!
When he finally breaks, it feels like this.
I don't think we're alike at all, Mr. White.
Oh, you're the guy! Wait, what?
This is previously owed. Going forward would require an additional 125.
I guess Jesse had gotten the deluxe.
Last quote I got on the deluxe was 125 grand.
Fair's fair. 422.
That's the one he took before Neil and Casey showed up.
23.
By my arithmetic, you're 10,000 shy.
This counting confused me at first, but he's counting stacks of $5,000. After the initial 125,000, 23 stacks is 115,000. What's amazing to me is that Jesse really did perfectly execute the three-way split and grabbed exactly 1/3 of Todd's money. There's the Skinny Pete and Badger money.
Hey, 200.
May I borrow this?
What are you doing?
I'm gathering your belongings.
No.
I'm not going to try to collect what you owe me. I don't think it would end well for either one of us. Keep a low profile, travel by night. Godspeed to you. Now please leave.
You are going to jack me up over a measly 1,800.
He doesn't lift a finger unless he's paid in full.
Have you been watching the news?
I have, very much so.
They have kept me in a concrete hole. Look, I don't even know what month it is.
September.
If you believe that you can pull on people's heartstrings, you should take your chances with the police. From where I sit, you made your own luck, as did your former partner, as did your lawyer.
I am not going anywhere. What are you doing?
There's a young man in my store, and he refuses to leave. Yes, I'm beginning to feel threatened. My name is Ed Galbraith.
This is actually the first time we hear his name. Although the Breaking Bad script referred to him as Ed, it was never spoken.
2714 4th Street, Northwest.
That's the real address.
You didn't call anybody just now. You faked it. You don't just hang up on a 911 call.
That's what I was saying when Nacho's dad did this.
They'd call you back immediately.
Jesse might know because of his experience with Jane.
I woke up, I found her, that's all I know. Seriously, yo. Pathetic.
He's like, I just got fooled by fake cops, I'm not getting fooled again.
Wow, you love that response time. Take your money. Officers, he obviously heard my call.
Is he still here?
This is a real officer and police tech advisor who is one of the rare people to appear in all of Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and El Camino. He did play a different character in Breaking Bad, given that he was located in New Hampshire.
Can you describe him?
Young, white, skinny.
This is like when Badger was describing Heisenberg.
50 or 70 or something. Medium height, medium weight. Dude's balder than you.
At first, it sounds like he's going to lead them right to him, although in this case, his description shifts.
6'5", 6'6". Had a tattoo over his right eyebrow. Interesting. A large insect. Best quality vacuum.
Your word is your bond?
Your word's your bond, right?
Right. It is.
I'll get you your money.
That's right, Jesse. There's no need to break the phone.
Why do you still have a battery in that thing? They might be trying to triangulate your movements.
Set decorator Ashley Michelle Marsh chose fox hunting art because Jesse is about to be sly like a fox. Bravo, Ashley.
Hello. Hey, Mom. Jesse. It's Jesse.
Jesse, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. How the hell are you doing?
We've been better.
How's Jake? Can I say hi to him?
Jake's on a band trip to London.
You really shine on that oboe. You have real talent.
That makes sense because the actor would be way too old now, and he supposedly retired from acting. This is not the same house they used in Breaking Bad. The outside is, and in Breaking Bad we see the real inside of the house, but due to a scheduling issue, this interior is from a house in a different part of town.
Jesse, where are you? You remember where we used to have those picnics?
By the little lake, the one with all the ducks.
Yeah?
It sounds like he's describing Tingley Beach, which was close to his aunt's house.
Do you think you guys could come get me, maybe?
We're on our way.
I don't know if it'll mean much to you, but you did your best.
And whatever happened with me, it's on me.
Although Jesse is tricking his parents, he does mean that. He's saying his goodbye and letting them off the hook. Regardless of what you think of them, this is sad to watch, especially thinking about them spending the rest of their lives without closure about their son. Oh, okay, it's another broken phone, although the only one in this movie. They're using fake plants to hide the house number and plaque describing the historical significance of this house. They've still got the Prius, although the story of the Pinkman Prius is complicated. This matches the blue Prius they had when we first met them, although their license plate used to be JFY 182 and now it's JCY 182. And the other two times we saw their car, it was a red Prius with the infamous Jesse List family stickers. Those two guys are real Albuquerque officers. They're still watching the house, but in typical Breaking Bad fashion, they don't watch the back door. Because this is a real house and there wasn't enough room for the camera behind the faucet, they shot into a mirror and then flipped the image back so Aaron wouldn't look backwards. Vince did this same trick to appear like he was shooting from behind the fireplace in Felina. Of course, the code changed from presumably Jesse's birthday to Jake's, even though that doesn't match what he typed. His parents keep doing this. It's almost like Jesse is Chuck and Jake is Jimmy.
I'm the favorite, practically all they ever talk about.
Prop master Peter Hansen explained that Jesse's dad is not a gun guy, but he happens to have two vintage ones. If only the safe had $1,800. Instead, his plan requires another step. They only have photos of Jake in the house. They've erased all traces of Jesse except for these height markers. According to the set decorator, that's because they're not easy to remove. Ouch. Vince got this idea because his parents did the same thing with his brother and him. Here's a 2-minute and 6-second long oneer done with a techno crane on dolly track and includes a 360-degree rotation. It was DP Marshall's idea and Vince called the shot bravura. Vince wanted the shot to go on even longer but needed a cut point to show Jesse's reaction to realizing there were more people here.
Oh, shit.
You're a big boy.
That's a big boy.
It's Man Mountain, the second Better Call Saul exclusive character to appear in El Camino. The actor David previously played another character called Man Mountain in Hancock, co-written by Vince. He's driving a Hummer H2 like Danny.
This guy's bigger than your mom, Sean.
Who's Kandy?
He speaks.
$7.50 an hour, cash up front. Perks are extra. Perks.
Know we, boys?
Hello to you. Hello to you.
Hi, welcome. My name is Casey.
Oof. This is the first of the two big flashbacks where Vince thinks Jesse is thinking about the moment right now.
All right. Done.
Well, shit, you're done.
Been here 20 minutes. What'd you do?
Had a fish plate up here.
What the fuck is that? Is that even a real word? Look, man, I want more of those things.
Once again, they put in the buildings that no longer exist with the help of a green screen. They also digitally hid Aaron's safety harness. Although you can tell he's still wearing a harness by the bulk.
A fish plate I need, because what? I'm Catholic and it's Friday? You sure you couldn't just put a few more gussets up there?
It's your money. But what I just did, you don't even need that.
Tried to rabbit on us once already.
There's no way I'm doing one more cook for you psycho fucks!
I'm thinking he's gonna figure out a way to break this thing.
Him? That's 4-inch channel iron up there. You can hang an F-150 from it.
They filmed this over 2 days, and during one, it was so cold you could see their breath. To combat this, Vince would have them swish cold water in their mouths right before filming.
$50 says he breaks this thing right here, right now.
You're on.
Go for it.
Now! Go! Go! Hard!
There's one of the Vominos pest crates that Jesse and the boys got when Pete did his original digital exit. This equipment is the same shown in Breaking Bad, and Vince chose this shot to echo the final shot in Breaking Bad. You can barely see it, but Walt's bloody fingerprints are on this tank. It doesn't fit the story, as this flashback happened well before then, but Vince didn't have the heart to remove the iconic prints.
If he breaks his leg, he's not gonna be able to cook. Be the fucking HR department?
No, he's his owner.
Gonna even up the odds a little bit.
Go! 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 Yeah!
Who is this guy anyway?
He's a rat. That's all you need to know.
Here it's his stuntman, Regis Harrington. Vince was going to cut this callback to Peekaboo, but Aaron fought hard to keep it in to show that Jesse still had his gentle nature. Because beetles like this enter a hibernation-like state in winter, they had heaters around the set so it would move. The ladies did have a nude scene here, but it was cut for time and because Vince said everyone kept calling him a pervert. In both directions, the inside and outside are combined with green or blue screens because the inside of Kandy Welding Co is on a soundstage.
In your dreams, buddy.
They're improvising here.
Cuddle with my dog. Never coming back to this dump place again.
Wake up, Clarence!
First Diane Pinkman, then Ed Galbraith, and now we learn that Man Mountain's first name is Clarence. Any relation to Geraldine Strauss?
Did Clarence get the Alpine Shepherd boy?
These guys are also improvising.
I said my son, cocaine wasn't even invented when Brigham Young was born. It's okay, you can have some.
This jumps from 4 lines to 3, and Kyle here must be a narc because you can see he's faking.
Cocaine and Mormons.
This is a bold move, Jesse versus
5 guys.
Originally there were going to be 6 guys.
I need more money.
Oh yeah?
That 3-way split didn't quite cover it for me.
You mean there was a third more? And you gave it to him?
It's a long story.
When I left, he didn't even have a fucking gun.
Well, he's got one now, doesn't he? So, shut up.
All I need is $1,800. I'm asking as a favor.
Oh, what, like charity?
Seriously, shut up. Why not an even $2,000?
$1,800's all I need.
What is that? Oh, God, is that a 22? Where'd you get that thing?
Think it was my grandfather's?
Oh, well, it's adorable.
1,800. I'm gone forever.
If you give this piece of shit one more dollar.
Stop helping.
This awkward leaning wasn't in the script, but when Vince saw him do some of it, he asked him to do more. And he used his favorite director trick of not telling the other guy he was going to do it.
Cold out here.
This part reminded the stunt coordinator of A Bronx Tale.
My third is in a duffel bag in the top drawer of that file cabinet. Where's yours?
In my car.
Your 22 against my 45. Winner takes all.
Like a Broadway play.
The winner takes it all.
No.
Like the Wild West.
Like the Wild West.
Vince said he shamelessly copied some of his favorite westerns, which is appropriate because he always viewed Breaking Bad like a modern western.
Cowboy.
Jesus, Neil.
Shut the fuck up.
It's silly that Kyle holds on to the drugs this whole time, but it was the actor's idea and he convinced Vince to do it that way.
You ready?
Yeah.
Neil's left-handed just like the actor is. The score has El Camino engine sounds mixed in here. It took 4 days to shoot this scene. The gun stuff alone was a day and a half. This part reminded the stunt coordinator of Cape Fear. During this, they padded the floors and doors. The glass just broke here, but now it's intact. For these guns, there are too many shots being fired here. The actors did all the stunts except this one. This is a stuntman.
We had an angle looking straight down on the vending machine. We had an angle inside the vending machine. We didn't use a single one of them because this is a complete fluke. There's a bunch of broken glass left in one of the window frames, but the way it's broken out perfectly frames Aaron. And that's what this scene is about.
Hey, don't you get over here.
They thought this glass would be fully broken, so Vince had someone break it on cue here.
Driver's license, do it!
He did a good job, but there's a little bit of visible breathing.
I got kids. Like I give a shit.
Sean,
Kyle.
Colin.
Walter Hartwell White.
At the wrap party, Aaron Paul gave the three guys their movie IDs as a gift.
I know where you live. You tell the cops about me,
And I am coming for every goddamn one of you.
This gun from Neil is a Kimber Ultra Raptor 2, almost identical to the Kimber Ultra Raptor that Walt used to kill Jack at the end of Breaking Bad. In both Breaking Bad and El Camino, they're the last guns held, and in both cases by Jesse.
Go.
That's a very Mike thing to do, and it is a half measure.
Dude, you're on fire.
Aaron really is on fire there. It is not a digital effect. The idea is that this happened because he shot through his jacket, although I feel like we should have seen evidence of this earlier. They had about 14 leather jackets for Aaron because of all that it goes through. Again, a guy hiding behind the desk whacked the glass with a stick here. And now he has a Mike-style go bag. This whole scene has a lot in common with the end of Felina. The main character shows up for a final confrontation with enemies who did previously give them a lot of money. They're victorious thanks in part to a hidden gun, and both guns even start a fire. In real life, this is a non-flammable welding tank with the top removed so no pressure can build up. This is a combination of practical and digital effects with the roof part all digital. Jesse kind of emulated three father figures to emerge victorious. Like Mike, he was patient, meticulous, and smart in Todd's apartment. Like Saul, he was able to pull enough info out of Ed and negotiate with him. And like Walt, he pulls off revenge killings and even ends it with a makeshift explosive device. What we don't know is that Jesse got shot and wounded because it was removed from the movie. Here's the sequence. It was cut for time, but also because Vince views the explosion as the end of the movie and the emotional high point. The tables have turned and Jesse finally gets what he wants. And even though there's still an epilogue coming, there was no way he was going to cut what comes next.
How we doing? Give me the gun, please. Whatever happens from here on out, you won't need it anymore. Can you get inside under your own power? Let's go. My first order of business, I gotta get that car of yours off the street and into my shop, and I'll take a look at that wound.
So where am I going?
Where do you want to go?
I can choose.
Remember, Jesse.
So I gotta pick where I go?
Well, it's your life. I imagine you get a say.
No guarantees to do what I can. Where do you want to go? You think about it.
Notice the hair. This is a flashback.
Do you miss me?
And this is a set because real hotel rooms are too small.
How are you gonna convince me? Oh, yeah? Oh. Yeah, that could work.
I am the one who knocks.
It's hard to know what's going on until...
Oh, holy shit! That's right! I'm in this!
They waited an hour and 44 minutes into the movie, but we finally get Walter White. Then a full minute goes by before he speaks, which Vince, again like Jimmy, described as
showmanship.
This is on their way home from being 4 days out.
Separate rooms!
Yeah, that's a given.
Battery's dead.
The housekeeper is one of the PA's grandmother. They shot this part last after the cafe scene we'll see next. Aaron Paul has a very hidden detail to share with us.
You can't tell, but that is a bald cap.
We can tell.
You got a brain the size of Wisconsin.
But I do think people exaggerate just how bad it is. It does make his head larger because he has a full head of hair underneath, although they use digital effects to shrink it. Even without the head size issue, he's bound to look a bit different from being 11 years older compared to season 2 and having a fuller face. In this later interview for the Popcorners commercial, the side view looks great with no digital touch-ups. close-ups.
It looks so real.
So they probably should have stuck to side views, or just put a baseball cap on him. By the way, I missed it at the time, but look how bad this backstage reflection is in his sunglasses. And they shouldn't have shown his right side because the bald cap is missing the cyst he still had in season 2. Shaving his head wasn't an option because he was in the middle of starring on Broadway in the play Network, for which he won his second Tony. It also helped keep the secret that Bryan was even in the movie. With all the secrecy, they went next level with Bryan. They sent the bald cap team from LA to New York City to fit him with the bald cap in a secret hotel suite nowhere near where he was performing. Then they had a 36-hour window to fly him from New York to Albuquerque and back because that's the longest break he had between performances. They put him on a private charter jet, kept a coat over his head outside the plane, and had him stay in a private home like many of the cast for secrecy. By the way, the code names for Walt and Jesse were Bert and Ernie. The Owl Cafe is in a busy spot right in the middle of Albuquerque because they didn't have time to get Bryan out to a remote location. They really parked the RV there, but the rest of the scenery used a blue screen which conveniently shielded the inside of the restaurant from looky-loos. And they had a cover story ready to go for onlookers wondering why the RV was there. PAs had brochures for the Breaking Bad RV tours and pretended they were filming a commercial for the tour company. They actually borrowed this RV from the tour as it was already in Albuquerque, unlike the one that Sony owns in California. They did have to add rust, various aging, and the bullet holes to it. To help with the secrecy, all the extras in this scene, just like the housekeeper at the hotel, are either crew members or their friends and families who signed an NDA.
Yeah, bitch.
The script didn't have Jesse say bitch once, so Aaron thought it was a good time to throw this in. Although he also did that in the hotel scene before it was trimmed down. Oh yeah, remember the coughing?
Leave the picture, would you?
Sorry, I can't really do that.
Sure you can. Wow, it's like I'm here with Sinatra.
I know, right?
Certainly went big with the pineapple.
Aaron's actually allergic to pineapple, but for some reason still stuffed his mouth with it. It started to swell after the first take, so they changed it to jicama dyed yellow. You know, they probably should have made Walt allergic to pineapple, and that's what could have caused his head to swell.
That was good for you. It's got bromine.
Bromelain. But close. Actually, it's not close at all.
You gonna eat? Gotta eat, gotta hydrate, get those electrolytes you were talking about.
Your body is running dangerously low on electrolytes.
There's producer and statue designer Charles Neuwirth with his daughter Emma. As a nod to Vince's hometown of Richmond, Virginia, 2 of the songs they chose to play in the background here come from Richmond artists.
How long will it take to sell this batch? 6 months. There's no one that you can think of who might buy the entire amount?
Someone with a spare $1.3 million lying around? No.
Jesse already covered this.
Sell the whole pound at once.
What do I look like, Scarface?
Your family is gonna get every dime they got coming to them.
He'll repeat that later today.
Your family will get your share.
What about you, Jesse? What about college? Business and marketing. You could practically teach that class.
Well, yeah.
First step, take your GED, that's no problem.
I got my diploma.
Oh, of course, yeah, right.
Breaking Bad never made it clear whether he graduated.
I totally graduated high school, dick.
Just making conversation. You're really lucky, you know. You didn't have to wait your whole life to do something special.
We've made it to the final phase of the movie, Rebirth in the peace and quiet of Alaska.
Alaska.
This is Alaska.
This is Alaska.
In real life, this is by the Sandia Ski Resort close to Albuquerque. It's the same area that served as New Hampshire.
Welcome to New Hampshire.
And Denver.
It's quiet. Figured you could use some of that.
Date of birth? 6/10/84.
Mother's maiden name.
Stackhouse.
Where was she born?
Kadena Air Force Base, Okinawa, Japan.
What's your social security number?
141-18-6941.
This number would have been issued in New Jersey way before Jesse was born. I don't know if that's going to fly, Ed.
Backward.
What is this shit?
Math or algebra.
149681141.
Anything else?
You can see a tiny bit of the letter. And can you guess who handwrote this letter in real life? Matt Feet, the photographer, deputy, student, preppy shopper, roofing hammer attack victim, homicide suspect, one of the best laser pointer holders west of the Mississippi, dumpster diver, HHM senior partner, and Pollo's cashier. How could you have a Breaking Bad movie without Matt? The answer is you can't.
Seal us up, please. I'm going to Mexico City in about a month. I'll nail it from there.
That's really going to help the illusion that Jesse's in Mexico. There is a drastic change in shadows here. I've used Jimmy like a sundial, so now I'll use these two and estimate that 6 hours have passed between these two shots.
Anyone else you want to say goodbye to?
This is the last scene Robert ever filmed. He passed away the day the movie premiered, but he did get to watch it. He called Aaron Paul afterwards, who said that he passed away just a couple hours later and that his family thought that waiting for the movie is what kept him alive. Casting director Sharon Bialy said that in her 12 years working with Vince, only 2 actors didn't have to audition, Bob Odenkirk and Robert Forster.
Not many of us get a chance to start fresh. Good luck, Mr. Driscoll.
It's the last frontier.
Unless that's meant to be a personalized plate, which I doubt, Alaska plates are supposed to start with 3 letters then 3 numbers. Unlike the earlier deleted scene, here the July 2013 expiration is believable, but it means we did a 9-month time jump and Ed needed that much time to arrange things for Jesse and get him out here. Brock was originally named by writer Tom Schnauz, and he chose the name because it's the name of his nephew. The script said we would get a bit of Jesse writing the letter, and the movie would end with a voiceover of him reading it to us. But after having some people read it, Vince decided it's better to leave it to our imagination. And I agree. It would have to be pretty damn poignant to end the movie on it, and I don't see how it could live up to those expectations. Vince giving up on having the letter read is quite impressive, considering that the contents of the letter was the very first thing he wrote when writing the script. And here's the other flashback where Jesse is actively thinking about the moment. Jane was not in the first draft of the script. When Vince had Peter Gould read it, he said, "I think you ought to find a way to get Jane in the movie." Bravo, Peter. Then Vince made the scene much longer, but a producer convinced him it was too much and it was time for the movie to end. Here's the rest of the scene that was cut.
Nice suspension.
What's the sports package? I paid extra for it.
This was on the way back from them visiting the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum.
Yo, I thought I was gonna see some, like, vaginas.
I don't know, it could be a fan belt. Maybe it's like a spark plug thing, I don't know, man, it's gotta be something, right?
Honestly, I don't even know. Okay, I can't even get the hood open.
Krysten Ritter was pregnant at the time, hidden by her coat. And Krysten is wearing a fake bangs piece.
20 minutes. Sorry.
So exactly how much did you hate that today?
Jane's codename was Ruby.
I didn't, hate it. Seriously, museums just aren't like my bag. My bag. Mainly, I was thinking about that thing you said about the universe.
What thing did I say about the universe?
Going wherever the universe may take you.
Sometimes you get fixated on something and you might not even get why. You open yourself up and go with the flow wherever the universe takes you.
I think I could be down for that.
You're not about to propose marriage, are you?
Yo, as if. Come on.
Because a broken down Toyota Tercel, kind of the least romantic setting ever.
Yeah, I know. Duh.
This is that area close to the studio in Albuquerque where Kim had her car accident, Mike took Werner, Jimenez hit his gun, Walt was pulled over, Walt drove with his eyes closed, Apoyo's truck was hijacked, and Jesse was dropped off by the laundry truck.
Seriously, though. Going with the flow, going where the universe takes you. Right on. I think it's a cool philosophy.
I was being metaphorical. It's a terrible philosophy. I've gone where the universe takes me my whole life. It's better to make those decisions for yourself.
There is a common thread to the flashbacks in this movie about turning your life around and starting over, which Jesse ultimately does.
Only you can decide what's best for you, Jesse.
Life is what you make it.
What about college?
It's better to make those decisions for yourself.
This part is now outside the state of New Mexico. It's right outside Jackson, Wyoming. They thought they would have to use visual effects to hide the distinctive Tetons, but the low clouds did the work for them to make this believable as Alaska. Steve Stafford was flying the helicopter used to film this. He flew the plane in Salud and was this DEA agent in Felina. El Camino does have a deeper meaning than just the car model.
That's Spanish for the Camino.
It means the road or the path, and Jesse's story in this movie started and ended with him driving alone down a road, forging a new path. He does tend to drive alone alone during big moments in his life. There's quite a contrast in his well-being this time. Vince had some different endings in mind. One involved Jesse deciding to help a woman in trouble near the Canadian border, knowing that it was going to get him caught. He does it anyway and goes to jail, but he's finally at peace. But when Vince shared this ending with Holly, Peter, and others, they thought he was crazy and that you can't end with Jesse Pinkman in a cage. So that's El Camino. Vince has said that this movie does not need to exist, but that's because he's proud that Breaking Bad stands on its own, and he hopes people will take this movie for what it is, a gift to fans and a gift to Aaron Paul. The credit song is by Jim White, who went to NYU with Vince. He also did the montage song in Blood Money, a song in the director's cut of the Breaking Bad pilot that was cut, and a song at the end of Vince's Home Fries movie. Music supervisor Thomas Goyevich liked it here because of its wistful, reflective tone. Congratulations and thanks to the new 2-year members: Swarming Languendo, Tricky Luck, Roshi 710, Atomic Waffle, and Man LOL Things. And here are the new 1-year members: Dominic, Bertie Rosser, Mr. McPillow, Nick, Travis Camilleri, Chicken Wing 11, Omar Allure, Amar, Woodbees Pray Like Aretha Franklin, Illusio, Opium Dan, Molten Ice, Minning Gung, Judges Row, Crazy Gamer Inc., Stacey, Toxic Mist, Man of Hoff, Boy, Zachary C., Swimma, Cowboy Luffy, The Movie Sequel Dude 49, Saul Cushman, Riley McDowell, Alex Backrow, Little Hop, Crazy Gopher, Ianacorn, Kyle the Judge, Franco Ezequiel Planazio, Simple Simon the Ass Man, Always Here, Early, Bucket Bob, Arthur Formiga, and Pizza 1, Delta Fizzy, Chilk, Booty Rash 21, Dr. Crude, Rack, Totally Not Uni, Logang 1895, Dying JDM Heart Shelter, Jake Sully, Hanan, Dr. Fingerbum MD, Wraith King, Maymay, Zorg, Dexirian, Caleb Villa, Adam 1, Suffering St. Sebastian, Lamad, Partridge, Webstar, Bonco Braz, Sam Dark, Paulo Enrique Oka, Flapjacko 404, Shuldanovich at 0, Ryan Chirilla, Mohan Saxena, Jared Haygood, Link NN4VI, Austin Murphy, Vaporium, February, Kaiser, Beat Race, Nut Guy, Benny, Ellie, Uber Meek, Illegal Seagull, Mr. Otto, Heinrich 3141, Wolfwagon, Naomi Wave, Pleep, Wizzless Ridiculous, Alyssa, Certified Tomfuller, LP Jones, Eric Snow, Yalu, iBoy, Lost Pixel, Nathan Penry, Songbirder, Rawl Sand, Moa, Morgan's Toy Box, Breakfast Eddie, Minagio, Answers Time, Cabell, Lukai, Mishomoto, Danton Fanton, Andy B, Dylan F, Maddie, Simone Allegra, Deadface, Number 1 Sertologi Glazer, Burnt Fuse, Liberty, Jessica Grace Kane, and Serial 0305. I'd like to fix my pronunciation of Matthias German Acosta and Eddie Seha. And here are the new 6-month members. Only read aloud for the next 3 months: Tsunami Inc., Tolly, Bert, Isaac Carroll, Abdullah SK, Government Teriyaki, Lassie Stahl, Sasha Doderklech, The Real Ben, Section Ratio, Nyan, Jesus is Here, Lisa, Ryle Dog, Grigori Konstantinov, Martin, Kautkov, Rapo545, Freeman, Geob342, Maxim Suchen, Liam, David, Apogee Creativity, Philzor, Will Grimes, Doggone Cute, Drake Dark Hunter, Peter Sanchez, Average Sinner, Sophia, Schnoz, DeBomb360, Floor Nora, Mintier Cake, Kirby Climbs, Cole Wiedenbeck, Hugh Jess, Cocosko, Smolb Soup, Eric Levine, El Cheaters, Moosey Luke, Phil Collins, Shane Clayton, Red, John Dannenberg, Santiago Salas, Chicken Bomb, Tielzebub, Toto Calderon, Imolo, Aubrey, Mason Fellingham, The Cult, Samuel Willis, Buxeals 2424, FZ, Primus, Rodolfo Lopez, Nicholas Ochoa, Egg Eater, Ruben Sandez, Seth Johnson, Japstows 23, Papazo, Mark Medve, Lashera Dodobbins, Red, Crawfish, Sequoia Owa, Scary Ghost, Cross 900, Sky, Derek Mann, James Rayner, Senka, Baconator 250, Merci, Ray, Ebag Seaman, Edward 850, Max Haslam, Oscar Garcia, Prismente, Trogmeyer, Uncle, Meaty Catlegs, Earlbird, Thomas Garza, Stevie Wonderful, Dusty, Intuitive, Surrealistic Lilac, Mertzy, Akil Morrison, Harry Dixon, Get Shit On, The Sean Skrook Band, Courier 60, Gabriel Tijerina, Gedliz, Conkos PL, Clocky T Girl, Tyler Caff, Derkis, Ishini, Owen Donovan, History Will Remember Us as Monsters, Conio, Daco, Mateo Paradis, Albo, Jared Evans, Kush Trevetti, La Chapa, Miza V, True Prophet, Joshua Wergler, Zoe Barker, Tetris 99 is God, Owen Galea, Headcreb, Ibud 7, Steven Zamora, Pippi Salazar, Sam Zhang, David Morocho, Riley Hudson, Oosh, The Biggest Fan, Nate J666, Cappuccino Clock, Dart Tootin Dillinger, Kachinga, Nikita Kravetsky, Renato Loriro, and David Evans. Next time, we're starting season 5 of Better Call Saul with Jimmy's transformation into Saul Goodman Esquire.
You didn't have to spend your whole life to do something special. If I can only get that line right. You didn't have to waste your whole life to do something special. That's not the line. You didn't have to spend your whole life to do something special. That's not it, is it? You didn't have to waste your whole life.
Shit, I'm not you.
What? Did I fuck up?
Yeah.
You drive like my grandmom's.
Wait, is she dead?
You couldn't drive the magic school bus up some dude's butt.
Man, Miss Frizzle was the shit.
That's some beautiful scenery right there.
Southwest is majestic, yo.
Whoa! Whoa! Shit! Who's there? Yeah.
Looked like you guys hurt yourselves. No, that was
Acting.
Help! I'm tied to myself. What the? You gentlemen threw me plenty of. Fuck me.
It's down there.
Somehow Todd lets you keep a cell phone even though he keeps you on field.
Where did you get that, babe?
Sharing the night together. Whoa. Yeah. Sharing the night together. What's your mind? Sharing the night. What's your mind? Sharing the night together. Oh. Yeah.
You fucker.
I got this. I got this.
Fucking tape.
Oh, Jesus.
Fuck the thing. Go.
Oh my God, my
Dad, shh. Quiet. We're rolling. Dad.
I gotta pee.
Jesus, Toddy, go pee.
We definitely want Neil to die.
Last chance.
Last chance before we put this down on film.
Yeah. Bitch.
Oh, hey, guess what? Pat Sarandos and Peter Freelander, you know, from Netflix, they came out to Albuquerque to watch my bathtub scene.
Excuse me, can the background artist not speak during this? These two background artists are talking. These two right here.
Are they disturbing you?
Yeah, they're like chatting, and it's like, where's central casting? Get central casting in there. The Owl doesn't serve cold coffee.
Well, this shit looks like lava, man.
Nailed it.
This is Alaska?
This is Alaska. You should see it in the wintertime.
Wait, this is the summer?
This is what you ordered, right?
Wait, why is there snow though? Why is it so cold? I didn't know Alaska had snow in it.
You said Alaska. You
No,
said Alabama.
No, I don't want snow, man.
Well, then
Hide
there you
out in the
go.
snow? Who hides out in snow?
Hey,
Fucking
put on a
Mike,
white
man.
suit. You're in.
No, I'm gonna go back in my hole. I'm going back in my hole. I'm going back in my hole.
There you go.
Yeah.